Case in point.
Didn't know that he was a seething racist till just now.
Well,
anyways. Well, unless nobody else has anything else they want to
rewind.
Reverse. Bang.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else we want to bring up for this? I feel really embarrassed because when Lemma and Amanda was here, I was just explaining a cold open to them.
Like you're embarrassed because they knew what it was?
I was embarrassed, I guess, because I was stating the obvious. Oh, usually we do a cold open. It's like, duh, kind of thing.
I know some people don't know what that means. I don't think that's a weird thing for you to do.
True.
Somebody I was just talking to recently about the show. I can't remember who it was, but I mentioned to them
This is not going, by the way. I feel like it hasn't been going the whole time.
Oh no!
Yikes! I just saw it in my peripheral vision.
It was going at one point.
Oh, okay, good.
Cable sometimes is a. Hold on, we're gonna try this again. Somebody fill time.
Okay, let me fill time. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys don't know this, but I'm actually something of a singer. And so to fill time, I'm
going to stop you right there.
Awesome. It's back on the TV. Thank God. I was just talking about...
because I didn't sing?
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
great.
talking with somebody recently, and I mentioned just the fact that we have a cold open, and I forget who it was, but then somebody was like, you cold open the show? And I'm like, well, yeah.
As opposed to like warm opening
we just do it. And they're like, oh, like I thought you just got right into it, like intro in a way kind of thing. And I was like, I guess some shows obviously do that, and you can, but I was like, I don't know. I always like the idea of just like fucking around for the first few minutes, getting the banter out.
I'd like to
warming up a little.
I'd like to take a very like random right turn or left turn. People say left usually. I think
it's left. Yeah.
Why do you think they say left instead of right?
Because
what's the decision there?
I think right
turn is like going in the same direction in a way.
Well, I guess right is also you could literally say
it's like the right turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So instead, avoid confusion. I guess. No. So basically, I've been what's it called? What's the word? I've been gushing about the show Beef on Netflix. It came out last year.
Oh my god, bro! But you got me hooked.
Yeah,
man.
but so let me tell you guys something that's crazy because like I watched 5 episodes on Saturday, 5 on Sunday, finished it, loved it, 10 out of 10. I recommend it to anybody. Beef on Netflix. And then Patrick was like, I was hanging out with him at some point, and we watched like the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So basically, and then Malcolm and I were hanging out today, and I showed him the first episode.
He liked it?
So yeah, he loved it. Yeah. So I've basically seen episode 1 of Beef
3 times.
Yeah. No.
Once with me, once by yourself, once with Malcolm.
Yeah. So 3 times in the last like couple days.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot, but that's how good the show is. That I'll like sit down and watch the first episode again.
Yeah. I feel like there's stuff that you don't notice
100%,
on the first watch.
100%. I mean, I don't know if we can go into spoilers.
I don't think we should. I think it just came out, didn't it?
Last year at some point.
Last year? It's been out for a year.
Yeah, it won Emmys like in the most recent cycle, but I think it came out like last summer or fall or whatever. Why am I just
hearing about this? Why are you just hearing about this?
I heard about it when it came out, and I was like A24, Steven Yeun, Ali Wong. I was like, this sounds really good, and I just put it on my list, and I never got to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There is a lot of shit that there's a lot of stuff that you don't catch the first time. Yeah. And I didn't catch some of the things I didn't catch until I watched it with Malcolm, with you. It's a really good show.
Yeah. They do this thing where instead of like theme music and an intro, it's like a very brief picture.
Sure.
And it's always a weird ass picture.
I love that shit. Yeah.
Like a picture that makes you feel uneasy inside.
There's one
and then some random caption that goes or seemingly random.
That's the title of the episode if you look. But like there was a really cool one where I think it's like 2 people, like it's like an oil painting, or not an oil painting, like a watercolor painting. And it's like 2 people hugging. Yeah. And they're like kind of like embracing, and then they're like stabbing each other in the back at the same time. That's right. That was really cool. They have a lot of cool art.
They have a lot of cool ones, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Those are the names of the episode, but I say random, although I don't think they're random. There has to be some sort of, they're telling some sort of story.
For sure.
It has to be, right?
Like, you're saying the random in terms of like what they say doesn't necessarily directly connect to the episode, but like thematically it may.
I haven't thought about it yet, but off first glance, I've never like read an episode name and been like, oh.
Like the first one I like a lot because it's like, the birds don't sing, they cry in pain, or something like that.
Oh my god, that gives me chills.
So I like that a lot because it's like, because in the first episode there's like the road rage incident, and there's like a lot of like anger going on in the show.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like the idea of like being fake nice is like really prevalent in the show. Kind of like fake smiling and having conversations with people you don't want to have conversations with. Yeah. So it's kind of like that idea of like, I don't know.
You know what I liked in the first? Honestly, we shouldn't even talk about it, should we? I'm just gonna say one minor thing. What I liked in the first episode is there are multiple points where I was really, I guess, on the edge of my seat because I thought the character was gonna break.
Yes.
I thought they were gonna snap and it happens to multiple characters and multiple times in that episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember the first one was when he got into the car.
Yeah.
This is all gonna not mean that much, I guess, but he gets into the car and he's really pissed off because he tried to return something at the supermarket and they were like, "You need your receipt," and they made him embarrassed and whatever. And he gets into his car and he goes, "There's always fucking something," and then he goes to pull his seatbelt and it gets like jammed.
Yeah.
And he pulls it again and it gets jammed. And
I thought he was gonna rip it.
Yeah,
he was gonna rip it out of the thing.
But then like he like calms himself and like slowly.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of good moments like that. Yeah. Anyway, Beef, please watch it.
Beef, more like Queef.
Have you watched it,
on
Matt?
with the show.
Have you watched it?
No. Welcome back to episode 47. Goodness, we're approaching 50 of Wildly Adequate, the show about anything, everything, and usually nothing. Wildly Adequate podcast. We're kind of known as WAP, not to be confused with anything else.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
No way.
If you think of WAP, think of us.
Bro, I should start hashtagging our
WAP.
posts with WAP.
There you go. Get some
Overlap.
Cross-pollination,
baby.
I, as always, am 1/4 of your hosting crew, Mr. Matthew Urso. And I am joined by, as always,
Mr. Patrick Fahim.
It's very formal.
Well, he always says Mr. So
Malcolm.
Oh, he does? Oh, yeah.
look at that. The gang is all here. Who's starting? I already forgot.
I think I'm starting.
Wow. Take us away.
So, just like kind of a silly topic, and we don't have to get too like deep with it.
Sure.
But I want to talk to you guys about guilty pleasures.
Can I just pause 1 second?
Yeah.
The rubbing on the mic is very loud in my ear. Thanks.
Yeah, you should not do that. No.
Guilty pleasures.
Guilty pleasures. So, nobody knows this,
Oh, here we
and
go.
so I'm going to let the fans in on a little secret.
This isn't
Before,
gonna be criminal, is it?
no, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be criminal.
Back in 2014.
Before this show was called Wildly Adequate, we threw around the idea of calling the show Honey Muffin, if you guys recall.
I remember that. The Honey
Because-
Muffin podcast.
And yes, we were throwing around the idea of having this be called the Honey Muffin Podcast. And for one simple, stupid reason, I have a guilty pleasure, which is getting muffins from Costco. I guess we have a lot of listeners from Morocco now from TikTok. So if this becomes a clip, Costco is a wholesaler.
Is Costco only in the West?
I don't think it's in Morocco or
Probably
the
not.
I
Middle
seriously
East, right?
doubt it's over there.
I don't think it's in the Middle East. But yeah, so they sell these big double chocolate muffins.
Why do you keep looking only at the
It's the
camera?
C-cam. I don't know. Maybe Matty just switches to that cam. It's my cam.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like we're talking to each other though.
I'm talking to the audience. Like I'm telling you guys know this.
I guess so. That's true.
Do you want to-
No, it's up to you. I was gonna say like it might be like well if you go to the wide cam, it's like weird.
Yeah.
Like you're just looking over.
No,
there.
Matty, switch to this cam. Right.
Sure.
So they have these big double chocolate muffins, and I always love to take one at a time, cut it into sections of 4, so quarters, and then warm it up, have the chocolate chips all melt, and slather that baby with honey. Slather that baby with honey.
But why is it guilty though?
Maybe because of how heinous it is.
I
But you like it though.
I love it, but you guys always make me feel bad about it. So I guess that's why it's.
So you feel
Guilty
guilty
pleasure.
because of the shame, I guess.
I think I feel guilty because it's very odd. It's an odd snack,
So if it was just
and I eat it at a high frequency.
okay.
So
And
it's
also
a double
not,
whammy.
It's not the healthiest, I guess.
It's not
so
the
that's
healthiest. It's a double whammy. But I always have it with a glass of milk. I do this thing where I take a bite, and while the bite is still in my mouth, sip of milk. And it's like an explosion of flavor in my mouth.
Honestly, it sounds good. I'm just not a honey fan. Is
Don't
the thing.
fucking ratatouille this when he's making his brother eat like the fucking cheese in the straw.
You have to close
Don't
your eyes.
ratatouille
You have to
this.
feel the flavor.
Don't make it sound like it's some mind-bending experience.
It is some mind-bending experience. You've never tried it.
Oh God, I never will.
I said I might make a topic. You guys try and.
Oh fuck, then I'm gonna
Those
have
muffins,
to try it
right?
for the show.
Yeah, you might
I
have
honestly,
to.
I'm predicting that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I'm not a honey guy generally. If it was just a melted chocolate cake with milk, that sounds great to me.
The thing is, if you just have the melted chocolate cake,
Yeah.
the muffin, it's a little bit dry, and so the honey adds like a molassesy and extra sweetness kind of element to it.
In case you needed more sweetness.
case
on
you
the
needed more
double
s-
chocolate muffin.
and part of it too, I think. Have you guys ever heard of the whole pairing of milk and honey?
Yeah.
Yes.
The land of milk and honey.
The land of milk and honey.
From
Moses,
the Bible, actually.
Yeah, from the Bible. There you go. I think when I have it in my mouth and get the sip of milk in there, it's the milk and honey that are really playing with each other.
Orgasm.
That are really playing with each other.
And you take one step closer to type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
Is that the type that you acquire? Inquire.
That you acquire.
Yeah.
I've acquired type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Type 2 is the
Yeah.
one you acquire. So yeah, that's my guilty pleasure that I wanted to lay out onto the table.
Pleasures. Well, just a quick one you kind of mentioned with like relation to food is like anytime I'm eating, a fast food thing, that's like a guilty pleasure because I know it's like white hot garbage.
Yeah, but you have fast food every week of your life.
I don't.
No?
But I'm saying like
I'm pretty
Taco
sure you
Bell,
do.
for example. I haven't been to Taco Bell in like a few months at this point, and it's like the next time I go, it is going to be a thing of like I could be eating anything else. Well, actually, but the problem with Taco Bell too, and we just talked about this last week when I had the tacos, is now that there's like a legit taco place in town. It's like, why would I ever fucking go to Taco Bell ever again?
When you want to
It's
kind of
cheap as hell.
Sometimes sometimes you want to be a disgusting piece of shit. You know?
he's right though. Like sometimes there's like money's kind of a factor, but also the
convenience,
lowness of it, not the lowness, the cheapness of it.
Yeah, it's quick too. I think that there's a difference between going through a drive-through, getting a bunch of food, and then like getting it in 2 minutes, eating quick, and you didn't spend that much money versus like sitting down somewhere ordering.
Yeah, that. But also, what I'm trying to articulate is the cheapness of the ingredients.
Yeah,
something about it makes you want to like
satisfying.
It's satisfying.
Jump on it.
You're saying because you know it's garbage for you, there's like a little bit of masochism involved.
No, I don't think I'm
It's like
saying
you shouldn't have it and it's not good for you.
Like,
So
I
you
know
want
this
to
is bad
have it.
for me,
It's
but
not-
that's kind of part of the fun.
it's bad-
It's like having sex in public.
It's okay. Wow, what is happening
like
right now?
you shouldn't do it. But
Why
like,
is your mind on this right now? Orgasm?
I didn't make that connection right away.
I don't know, it's like you shouldn't kind of be doing it, but like in the moment, you're like,
gotta.
yeah, this.
I mean, part of it, yeah, I guess it just tastes so good. That's
I'd
what
like
I'm trying
I'd
to
like
say.
to forfeit my time on
the way I would describe the way I would describe it is like it's bad. It's good, but bad. It's like bad in a good way, or is it? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
Guilty
god,
pleasure,
what's
baby.
that? What's that line from Counting
Schindler's
Stars?
List? Oh.
Counting stars.
Counting Stars, One
Counting
Republic.
Stars?
You guys know what I'm talking about?
I know
We'll
that
be
song.
counting stars. That one.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
not Will Be
No,
Counting-
that's the one.
No.
That's the song.
line
You
that
said
pertains to
Counting
what you were
Stars.
saying.
I know what I'm saying. That's the right song.
That is the right song. No, we're all in agreement that that's the right song. It's feel something so wrong by doing the right thing.
No, I think it's by doing the wrong thing, right?
Feel
He's saying-
something so wrong by doing the right thing, and
I
then he
see,
says
I
the
see.
inverse
He
as well.
flips it.
Yeah. Why did I bring this up?
I don't know.
I
You said
know.
it relates to what Mark's saying, but we're talking about guilty.
Oh yeah, the
pleasures.
feeling of it being wrong, but it feels right.
Yeah.
That's why I brought up.
Can I
that
just
verse.
say I really want to go to Burger King. I've never had it before, and I want to go. And
You want to
get-
go because of beef?
I want to go because of beef. In Beef, there's a scene, and you've watched it in the first episode, where he like is going to this like empty plot of land, and he wants to buy it. So
Yeah.
he's like calling the owners and being like, "Hey, I'm inquiring about this land. I'm acquiring it." And then he's like, as he's doing that, he's like having anxiety and he's stressing out about money, and he pulls out a Burger King bag, and there's like 4 chicken sandwiches in it, these long like chicken sandwiches.
Yeah, the long ones.
And he just like shoves them down one by one until he like has like a almost like a choke.
I thought he was gonna puke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that for some reason that scene looks so satisfying the way he eats it,
Mm-hmm,
minus the choking bit. So
It does look yummy.
beef, more like queef.
oh my
it's the second
God.
time he's made that
That's
joke.
the
You're going crazy.
I don't know
this
what's wrong
episode.
with
What's
me
wrong with you right now?
Something's off.
Is
You know,
guilty-
you know what's strange too? It didn't land the first time, and then he went for
Went
it.
for it for the second time. You know what they say? Comedy comes in threes.
The oblong chicken.
Oh,
is
was there gonna be one more?
We'll come back
great.
to it.
The oblong chicken is definitely something I need
I've
to
heard
try.
it's fantastic. I've heard it's
Yeah.
the best item that they
And
have.
we've talked about this on the show before.
We have.
We've talked about and we've used the words oblong chicken.
And then last time we went to Square One, we can cut that. I don't know if it matters or not. But last time we were at Square One, I urged you. I almost even pleaded with you to have the chicken sandwich. And
But
then
he
you were
said
like,
he
no.
wouldn't, so then there was no point.
He was there.
Yeah, he was there. Remember, he said he would get something else.
Oh, because I just wanted, because I don't want Burger King. That's what I'm saying. Especially when I have other options of like shawarma and sushi and all this stuff. It's like, why am I gonna eat garbage?
It wasn't the time. And it needs to be like we have to decide on it, kind of thing. And then he can't weasel out
to
of it.
decide on it.
You know
I
what
guess
mean?
so, but I'm reaching my patience limit. I want to like go do it.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry. We'll
Anyway,
figure it
guilty pleasures.
Pleasures.
I'm trying to. When I think of guilty pleasures, I think of movies. I'm trying to think of movies that are like horrible, but I still love them.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna
Whatever you
say
guys want.
like guilty pleasure wise with movies. There's some things like even some I have mentioned a million times on the show, but it's like I love Godzilla, and there's like some of those movies that are like legitimately great movies.
Yeah.
There's like the 90s kind of era of films, which is my favorite run they did, and those are like a little campy, but like, you know, they're still work as movies. And then there's just like the 60s and 70s ones where it's like that shot where it's like literally Godzilla does like a flying kick at somebody where he's like sliding on his tail and does a flying kick, or there's the scene where he literally like curls up into a ball and just shoots fire out of his mouth and goes like flying through the fucking sky. And it's like these movies are complete nonsense, and like to most people, if you didn't grow up with it and didn't like, you can't kind of set aside how stupid it is. Like, it's just kind of ass, yet I love it. So,
Dude,
like, I don't know.
That's gross of you.
How do you feel about anybody whose guilty pleasure is Morbius?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's
Are you about to say that?
No, I was gonna say there are some movies that are so bad that they can't be a guilty pleasure. Like for me at least, like they're bad, and they're not bad in an enjoyable way.
Yeah.
Like to me, something that's bad in an enjoyable way is Space Jam. Love Space Jam.
Or Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder is bad. No, but Tropic Thunder
It's funny,
is
at
purposefully bad.
Yeah, it's
Like-
purposely bad. That's
Like
right.
Space Jam isn't purposefully bad. It's just like a kids movie, and it's just kind of corny. You know?
Oh,
It's silly.
okay.
But
Yeah.
like Thunder, what's it called?
Tropic Thunder, yeah.
Like they made it like purposefully that
Yeah,
way.
they know.
And
Yeah.
that's why it's kind of brilliant in a way.
Mhm.
Like it's not even a guilty pleasure of mine. I just love that movie. It's funny.
True.
But Space Jam, yeah, that's one of them for me. It's,
Mhm.
it's kind of like it's really hard to watch sometimes, but because when I watched it, I was a kid and I was a big fan of basketball and all these Looney Tunes characters, it was like still enjoyable. You know?
Yeah. Can we actually just put a pin in this for one second? We talked about snowboarding in the cold open. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say about?
Oh, my ass hurts.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't pointing at anything in specific.
What did you do to your ass?
You want to tell them about your ass?
I tried to hit a metal pipe,
Oh, good.
and so like the metal pipe is like, it's like this, it's straight, and I'm coming onto it straight like this, like my snowboard's like this, and I tried to jump onto it sideways.
Yep.
When I jumped onto it sideways,
Slid back.
my board was a little bit in front of me, and so my board went forward, and I went back right onto the metal pipe. My ass just right onto it,
You know-
and then I slid right off and down the hill.
You know, Patrick nailed the pipe.
Yeah, I nailed a different pipe. I nailed a different pipe though.
Two things
His pipe was
about this.
harder.
Number
Oh.
one,
Yeah.
show us your ass and prove it on camera.
I
Show
don't
us
think
the
there's anything
damage.
on there right now.
And number two, so apparently the two of you watched fucking mid-90s last night and just decided you were going to start shredding. Huh? That's what happened.
Yeah.
You just decided you watch one
Did
movie.
We did not shred.
Malcolm and I were talking about that today, and we were listening to some of the music from the movie because
Yeah.
the soundtrack is fucking great.
I
Yeah.
watched it last night. It was really good. Not crazy about the ending, but otherwise really good.
Apparently, he was telling me that they're all like skateboarders in real life.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume so.
Even the
That
main,
they're pros.
Even Sonny Soljic is a skater in real life.
Who's Sonny Soldier?
He plays Atreus. He plays the main character. He plays Stevie.
Oh, he's TV. Okay.
Like he
Sunburn.
posts all the time. Yeah, sunburn. He posts all the time, like doing like crazy tricks. He's really really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck shit, and that's a character's
Yeah.
name. I'm not
Dude, I love
just
fuck
cussing
shit.
for
Don't
the
have
fun of
Tourette's.
it. Fuck shit is just. I was telling Malcolm, he's like, I'm not convinced that he's a black guy. I'm just not convinced.
No, I think in real life, I think he has like one white parent, and one like brown, like black parent. I guess.
You think so?
I think so.
He looks like he's like a European person.
I don't know how you think that. I think he looks black.
He looks very light skinned black.
When he started going off saying the N-word in that
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
I was so
I thought it
confused.
was
No,
very
yeah.
clear.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was very clear.
I thought it was clear that they were trying to say he was, but I thought they miscasted the actor or something.
Yeah.
Fuck shit.
Anyways,
Guilty pleasures. Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think
Because
of
there's
anything
not, you know what it is? It's because I know some people will say like reality TV, for example.
Sure.
And they'll be like, reality TV is my guilty pleasure. Or like, I know it's terrible, mind-numbing garbage, but like they just enjoy kind of turning their brain off and watching it.
Have you guys heard of the? Sorry, continue.
I was just gonna say like I guess there's not the reason I can't think of many guilty pleasures is because there aren't many things that I guess I'm like
Guilty about.
guilty of
ashamed
doing.
of.
Yeah.
You know
I
what-
guess if that makes any sense.
Have you guys heard of the idea of like there's no such thing as guilty pleasures because it's like if you like it, then you like it. You know what I'm saying?
but if you
but
feel
you
bad
know,
about
you know
it
it's bad
afterwards.
though.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you still like it. So it's almost like a weird thing where it's like, yeah, you're guilty about it, but like you still like it. So don't pretend like you don't like it. Type like if you like watching a shitty reality show,
Yeah.
you use the guise of like, oh, it's just a guilty pleasure, but you like will spend hours watching it and you still like it.
Oh,
So
like
you
you're
know what I'm
using the
saying?
word in. You're saying some people say like, oh, it's like my guilty pleasure, but
yeah,
they're
but
like,
it's like shut up, you actually like it.
you actually
like it.
Yeah.
I guess.
No,
watch
I'm
it.
talking about honest to God guilty pleasures. Like for
you
example,
genuinely
I'll give
feel
you guys.
bad.
I'll give you guys another one,
Yeah.
we go.
and it's also food related.
Oh God.
There are very rare moments where the I don't know how many they come in. I'm just gonna say a number. It might not be correct. Where the 64 packs of Ferrero Rocher come into my home.
Oh my God.
As soon as he said how many, I was like, he's talking about Ferrero's.
And there are very few times where they come into my home, those packs, and I don't finish them in a matter of a day.
I believe it's
2 days max.
I know which exact package you're talking about. I think it's 48.
48.
I think it might be something like that.
I'm downing them, I'm downing them, and I'm making a giant tinfoil ball with all of the wrappers. Do you guys understand what I'm saying to you?
I was gonna say that's actually a lot of like physical labor to eat all that and like unwrap them one by one. It's a lot of work.
Well, I guess in that vein, candy in some ways is a guilty pleasure for me. Not generally, but like, you know, if I have like a handful of whatever, then I don't really care. But it is the times where like I get a bag of something, let's say, and I'm like, all right, like I'll make this last a week or two, and like 5 hours later at the end of the night, like the fucking bag's empty, and it's like, well, probably didn't need to do. Coming from Mrs. 48 Ferrero.
Yeah, we're both pigs. We're both pigs.
I'm gonna throw out Instagram Reels as a guilty pleasure because I'll spend hours doing that shit and I hate it and it's stupid, and then I'm like watching something and I'm like, this is so dumb, and then I'll watch the same video 2 more times.
I need to
let it loop.
I need to pile on with that. So
yeah, go for it.
A long time ago, I had TikTok, and it took, you know, a lot of my time, and so I cut myself off. I deleted it. I was doing great. We have the TikTok now for the Wildly Adequate. And I have to say, I have to confess that I find myself scrolling sometimes.
You use it just casually?
Just casually, not even post. I'm not posting for Wildly Adequate. I'm just scrolling. And some videos that I'll point out, I've mentioned this before, Impractical Jokers. Love it. Recently, there's been these videos of this guy who plays prop hunt on COD.
God.
Just watching those videos. They're literally like 3-minute long videos, and I'm watching like 10 at a time. 30 minutes right there.
Wow.
30 minutes right there. So
I gotta say that scrolling is kind of a guilty pleasure for me too. I'll find myself 1 a.m. scrolling on Instagram Reels. I deleted TikTok for the very reason of not wanting to do that anymore because it took up so much of my time, and I find Instagram Reels, and then I'm just there 1 a.m. and at some point I'm telling myself, I'm like, I'm so stupid. Stop watching. And I just keep going. Yeah. And then I see it's 2 a.m. and I go, what is wrong? I say, what is wrong with me? And then I'll turn off my phone.
Out loud?
Is the term doom scrolling? Is that what that's supposed to mean?
I think so.
That's kind of like you're scrolling endlessly and you just feel horrible about it. It's just like a horrible experience.
I just feel like I can't stop sometimes.
Yeah.
I hear you. Now we need to just say like a clarifying point to the audience. If you find yourself doing this with our page, it's perfectly okay.
Yes.
Don't stop scrolling on our page.
There's an end to our page.
Do not. And if you hit that end, start from the fucking bottom again. Like just
memorize
keep going. Yeah.
Memorize the videos.
Recite them by word.
Don't you guys like when Malcolm watches Instagram Reels out loud?
Bro, he was doing that in the car. He was doing that in the car today on the way home.
You gotta stop doing that.
He was connected to the car. I was like, bro, you gotta stop watching these out loud. And I muted the car volume, so he disconnects his phone and starts listening to it from his phone volume. I was like, what is this guy doing?
You know what the thing is like if he watched the video once and moved on, that's fine. But he'll like watch the same video 3 times and then the next one 3 times and the next one 3 times.
You're so right.
Goodness.
You were so right.
But guilty pleasures.
Yeah, we don't need to belabor it. It's, you know, if this was,
I don't mean to leave you hanging.
That's fine.
There's not too much.
I feel like we riffed a little bit.
But yeah,
maybe I can throw out a Marvel Snap. I mean, I don't play it as much these days as I used to, but I still play it quite a while.
I don't feel bad about playing it.
Well, he's saying for himself.
I'm thinking like, do I
feel bad?
Not now because I don't play it as much, but when I started I was playing it all day long.
You were grinding
that.
I mean, I guess also the idea of like, I mean, I've been less on these recently, but dating apps. I know you guys know that. I've been on dating apps, but like in the last few days, I've just like chilled a little bit, and I check it like maybe once a night. But like when I first downloaded them, I'd like be on them all day.
Crazy. It was like Instagram Reels for women.
Yeah, basically. I'd be like, oh, what do you guys think? But yeah,
Hinge is cool because it has the voice feature.
And I would never use it, to be honest.
No, but like on other people's profiles, right? It's kind of just.
It kind of weirds me out when I hear some girl's voice and it's just like there's no face. I mean, there is a face. I guess you can scroll, but
honestly, I feel inclined to agree. I'm not gonna forget the one with the girl where she's saying something and then her dog comes into the room and she's like, "Oh, Rico!" Like,
oh, bro, don't say the name.
I don't know if it was Rico.
She's gonna watch it.
I really don't think it was Rico. Was it Rico?
I think it was.
No,
she says the dog's name.
Whatever.
She says the dog's name, and then she ends the video by going, ruff, ruff, ruff. Like, was it her? Oh, no, it was the dog.
Dude.
No, it was
you
the
think
dog.
she just lost her mind?
That's right. No, it was
like
the dog.
That old guy on the news.
Yeah. They came banding.
I've never used Hinge, but like I had heard about that it has the like.
You should use it.
Voice. No.
Explore, baby.
Oh my goodness! Why do you always want to put him in crap? It's always you.
Is it me?
Yeah, I think so.
But like Hinge, I know that like because somebody had told me when they first started using it, they're like, oh yeah, it's got like this audio like feature thing. I would never do that for 2 reasons.
Imagine Matty going, it's like breathing heavy.
Just breathing. I would never do it for 2 reasons.
I'm a really cool guy.
Because there's 2 problems with me using it on like if I had an account. Number 1, I would just want to like. My default would be to try and do something funny, and I know you'd like. How long can you make your thing?
I have no idea.
I think you can make it like a minute.
Maybe like 30 seconds.
Okay, that kind of time, maybe I can pull something off, but in my head, I'm thinking it's like some 10-second thing. Whatever I try, there's no way that lands. And the second thing is, I'm relatively confident. I think I'm an okay-looking guy. If there's one thing I'm not like, and this is, ironic saying this on a podcast, but if there's one thing I've never been like super, let me lead with this, it's my Looney Tunes Squidward cartoon-esque nasally voice. So what I'm saying is I also wouldn't want to put that on my Hinge thing to be like, oh, this is this normal looking guy. I wonder what he sounds like. And then it's this voice, So
you're saying you wanted to fall in love with you first, then you can introduce the voice?
Then she'll find out about
I didn't
voice.
say a word to Varsh for 3 years. And then we went on our first date, and I was like, "Hey, this is what I sound."
She was already in love with you.
You're stuck.
I mean, you guys let me know what you think about this, but I feel like he goes too hard on himself with his voice. Your voice isn't bad, dude.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I'm a little
It's not
hyperbolic.
Squidward nasally.
It's on the nasalier, like higher octave side. Like I've never had like the fucking like a Stallone,
Rico Suave.
a Stallone fucking. Like,
Bro, I wish I had like an Elvis voice or like a like a deeper.
Oh, dude, like Austin Butler. Have you guys heard
Austin Butler.
Dude, people have been making fun of him for having that deep voice because they'll compare him before Elvis, and he sounds like relatively normal.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, and then Baz told me to do this, and he's like talking like a deep voice.
Oh my god, I saw this thing that
Elvis changed him.
I saw this thing that Austin Butler had to hire like a therapist because
Like,
he couldn't.
Move on?
He couldn't move on or something? Or was it Austin Butler? Do you see the same post?
I've heard that he was like, he put himself so deep into the character that he was like, just like thinking about it all the time and like talking like him all the time.
Yeah.
He also died on the toilet.
Austin Butler? And then he came back. No, but yeah.
I
don't really
get the
know.
joke.
Because Elvis died on the toilet.
I don't get the joke though.
Yeah.
So Marco's saying he got so immersed in the role.
Oh, so he also died
So
on the
he also
toilet.
died on the
He was that committed to it.
That's funny.
Elvis had a guilty pleasure too.
What?
He did have a guilty pleasure.
nose
didn't he?
clams.
Some booger sugar, yeah.
We were talking in my psych class, and the professor kept going off about how Sigmund Freud loved cocaine.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Loved cocaine.
Who doesn't?
Don't knock it till you try it.
But yeah, he was talking about how back in Freud's day, it was just so widely accessible. Like you guys know that Coca-Cola used to put cocaine in their recipe.
Which
Let's
is
go.
awesome.
It was commercially sold.
And then now Pepsi has taken over for that reason.
But Freud's preferred method of taking cocaine was through injection, apparently.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Classic.
So
Classic.
the classic cocaine injection. So are his really weird psychosexual ideas because of the coke?
Coke-fueled fever dreams.
Coke-fueled. He has a. This is going to be an assigned reading in a couple weeks, but he has a whole paper on all of the medical uses for coke.
Oh, wow.
Do you think he wrote it?
Go figure.
Do you think he wrote it while he was high on coke?
Probably.
Probably.
I like to think so.
Maybe.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, this is a whole other thing. We'll wrap this up. But where they talk about like musicians, and it's like, yeah, they always do all these like crazy drugs and shit. But then it's like, but look at what they produce.
Mm-hmm.
And so
There's
Freud,
gotta-
same thing.
Freud, same
What
thing.
is-
Something
Wait,
good.
What he's saying is that there's got to be something to
There's
it.
got to be something.
What's
to do.
Hawking's
Don't do drugs, kids.
drug?
Stephen Hawking's drug?
Yeah. Oh, yikes! I didn't
That's,
even mean. I didn't even.
Well,
What do you
depending
mean
on
his
who
drug?
you ask, he might not have any drugs.
But he has
depending
some
on
bad
some other
vices?
people who
He
you
also has a
ask.
guilty pleasure.
He might have been
He might have had one really guilty pleasure.
Yeah, he might have been at an island.
I mean, I don't know.
He
Who,
might have had one really guilty
we don't know how
pleasure.
guilty he was
He
about
might
it.
have liked to watch a certain sort of people do
Yeah.
something on a board.
Oh wow! All right, let's stop this.
This is
No,
all
that-
interesting because
Hell no! Hell no!
we're kind of like towing the line on
Hell
the
no.
topic a little.
Are we okay?
Like
Let's.
towing the line a little.
Well, I think Mark's
Oh,
next.
on
so-
your topic.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
I think Mark's next, so we're gonna have to put a pin in that.
We'll get back to it.
Okay.
Bum, 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 bum.
I don't really know how this topic is going to really move forward. I'm going to say something, and then you guys can either add on to it, I guess, or
Is it free association, like a word association thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a specific topic, but yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about this recently, and I've talked to you guys about this before. I don't know if it was on the podcast or just in private, but the idea of like loneliness
Okay.
I feel like in the last little while I have been feeling quite lonely, and I don't know if it's a symptom of me having recently gone through a breakup in December, or if it's like, I'm not sure what it is, but I feel like oftentimes I'll be at home, and even though I have like my family I talk to all the time, you guys I talk to all the time, I have like school friends and stuff, and then I have schoolwork to do, and then I have my placement, like and I go to the gym and I go to work, like I have a lot of shit going on, and yet like at night I just feel like something's missing. And I think for me, a part of it is that like, over the last few years, I've been in and out of two different relationships. So I've had someone in those empty times to talk to, but now I feel like I don't have that person. And I could talk to one of you guys or something, but it just feels different,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to talk about your guys' relationships with loneliness. If you ever feel lonely these days, even though you guys are in relationships, if you still feel that.
Hey, that was kind of...
I know, I pointed at them too. I made sure to do that. I guess I swept through. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, so what's your guys' relationships with loneliness, and how do you deal with it? How do you think about it, or do you not even think about it?
Let's hear from the boys in relationships.
I think it would be interesting because
what's your
and also,
relationship with loneliness?
I'll preface this by saying that just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you can't be lonely.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I don't want it to be like, I don't want to say it because then it looks bad or whatever, that like, my girlfriend's going to be pissed off or whatever. But like I think it's a normal thing. So like in case any, I'm sure either of you weren't going to be.
I think it's normal to be lonely sometimes. Like
yeah.
when I go to school, like obviously like none of my close friends, like I have friends at school, but none of my close friends like you guys or anything go there. And like most of the time I just find myself just like by myself for just hours in the gym by myself. I'll try to call one of you guys if you guys are doing anything, try to talk to you guys, see what's up. Or
do you ever call him?
No, I don't actually.
Not as much when you're at the gym. It's more like other times you'll call me, but not as much when you're at the gym.
You should start calling him more often.
You should three-way.
Maddie should just start coming to the gym with us, dude. I honestly think that Maddie's like, I've seen Matty shirtless before, and I think that he has a good base.
He does.
I'm at the point now where I have been thinking about it lately. Where
There we go.
There's no way.
No. He's gonna say he's at home though.
I'm probably the most out of shape I've ever been in my entire life. Not like, and I mean that seriously. Not like physically, although like I do definitely have the slightest. Like I got a bit of a gut going. I won't lie. But in terms of just like energy for like I just don't have the like stamina or whatever. Even like the couple times like a couple months ago when we went like skating or whatever, those handful of times, I can still skate no problem, and I get that skating's one very specific thing that I don't do as often as I did when I was a kid. But like even when I'm skating and I like when the skate ends and everybody's getting off the ice, and if I go like tool around for a couple quick laps, like by the end of 2 really quick laps or whatever, I'm like done kind of thing. So it's definitely getting to the point where I still don't really care to go to the gym, but like I'm at the point where I'm like, yeah, I should start going and like swimming lengths at the pool.
Dude,
or like
here's my invitation.
Just doing something like less weights and physical shit and a little more like cardio stuff to like get the stamina back.
I mean, you have all the other I guess like avenues to do that, but my invitation to you would be to do what Patrick does, which is like I have a free guest for my gym membership. So if you ever wanted to come, there's like a bunch of cardio machines, bikes, treadmills, and there's also a pool at the gym that I go to. So if you ever wanted to try that.
It's a really dirty pool.
So I've heard.
But yeah,
the LA pool is it's gross.
But anyway, I want to go back to Malcolm because you were talking about your
loneliness.
Yeah. I just feel lonely at school sometimes. And I usually always try to find someone to like do some work with or like hang out with or whatever, and a lot of times I just find myself just sitting by myself. And
yeah, you don't want to hang out with Kevin, right?
I have a question.
You don't want to hang out with Kevin, right?
I have a question I want to pose to you guys because it's like I find myself in a similar scenario where when I am by myself, I try to reach out. I try to talk to somebody, or I try to whatever, something. But is that because I do the same thing, and I feel like sometimes like I think to myself, is this the healthiest frame of mind? Like, should I be content by myself? Like, should I not be like gravitating towards connecting with anybody? Even the idea of like just sitting on the phone together, like I love doing that. But then sometimes I think to myself, like, is that a bad tendency? Should I be okay just on my own and with my own thoughts and not really connecting with anybody? And yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion to have, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Yes.
Like that it is unhealthy, potentially?
I think, too, it depends how severe, but I would venture a guess with my complete lack of any knowledge or, research behind this statement that, like, you should be able, and not you specifically, but, like, the royal you, people should be able, at least in my estimation, to be able to, like, be alone and kind of not be, I guess, with other people and not have that be, a problem. And not like, I'm not saying all day, but, to go an hour or two or something without, I don't know, needing it, I guess.
And it's not even a social connection thing always. It's like reaching for the phone. Like being by yourself and like needing something to look at or interact with, whether it's a real person or if it's like a media or
the media, it depends what it is, because for me it's like, and I'll get into my whole loneliness thing, but it's like if I'm home alone or whatever, just like watching a movie or like playing a video game or something, that to me is different than just like scrolling on Instagram or whatever the hell.
It's more like engaged, you're saying? Like when you're watching a show or something, you're more like...
It's more engaged, and I guess you don't always have to be, but for me anyways, it's like I'm getting something out of it. Sure. It's like, oh, I'm watching a movie, I'm entertained. Oh, I'm watching fucking The Simpsons for the millionth time, I'm like laughing. Oh, I'm playing a video game I like, and I'm getting, some experience. If it's like a horror game, it's...
But couldn't you say you're just on social media laughing and having a good time, like watching something?
You could, but to me, it's like needing to fill the void with like a phone and social media and that kind of stuff sounds more destructive. And I say destructive, that sounds more hyperbolic than I mean, but that sounds more like of a problem than like I'm going to watch a movie. You know what I mean?
But if the frequency is the same, then like what's the difference? Like, for example, if you're like, every time you're just chilling by yourself, you're like, I'm just going to watch this like 8 hours of this TV show versus like, I'm going to scroll for 8 hours and like watch funny skits.
What's the alternative though? Like, are you saying you want to meditate? You don't want to be...
Oh no, I'm just asking about what Matty was saying though, but I'm not saying anything in particular.
Okay.
I guess at that point, to me, if it's something like that where it's like 8 hours, then to me it's like, well, then anything is like too much. But I'm saying even if it was like an hour or two kind of thing, and it was more reasonable. With like a movie, it's like you're picking a movie, you're sitting down, you're like starting it, and you're sitting there and like engaging with it, as opposed to like... Because I feel like I get what you're saying of like, oh, if you're sitting just watching memes and shit like on your phone. But I feel like nobody's really using Instagram Reels for like...
Watching art.
Yeah, like, I don't know, the art form of it. I feel like it's more just like, oh, this like is a time waster kind of thing. Like, this will kill.
And I guess the attention span thing is... Like, I think the attention span thing is what makes the social media thing worse. Because it's like, if you're going to sit down and watch a 3-hour movie or 2.5-hour movie, you're like investing time, you're engaged with the characters, you're like... learning about the world and learning about the characters and their backstories and whatever, and you're like kind of not working, but like, you're invested, you're focused, as opposed to like 2-second videos that you're just like not really into.
Yeah, that, and to the whole what you were saying, Malcolm, of like sometimes you find you just can't put it down. It's like, well, welcome to social media and how it's literally built to be as addictive as possible kind of thing. And it's like, that's what I'm saying, where it's like, that's the other problem, where if you're... It just feels like the more you use it, the more you're on it, the more you want to be on it, and like the worse, like it just feeds into itself. Whereas like to sit and watch a movie or play a game or whatever, it just doesn't seem that bad.
Can I ask you and Malcolm a question?
Please.
Before you were in a relationship, before you had even been, because like you're in your current relationship, and then before you had like some like small like kind of mini relationships in a way type thing.
It was like a month.
Like before before any of that stuff, did you feel like in high school and early college and that sort of stuff, before you had those interactions and those like potential relationships and current relationship, did you feel like there was something missing in your life? Even in high school, you were like, oh, I'm yearning this connection with someone, this deep connection with someone, or was it like was it something that came up after that interaction? Because let me give you an example. Like for me, in high school, like I've always wanted a girlfriend, and I mean most guys, they want a girlfriend at some point, but I never felt like it was something that would bother me significantly at all. It was always very like benign, like very like in passing. But then after I've been in a relationship, and then now that I'm out, I feel it more strongly because I've felt it, and I know what it is, and I know how much it meant to me, and I know that like that significant connection is important to me. So it's one of those things where like, did you feel it before you were in a relationship or had any interactions, and did you guys like how does it compare to after a relationship? Because we've all been through a breakup, at some point, or like some sort of break,
Hell no. I don't know. It's weird because like there was definitely always a part of me in high school and basically like my entire college time that like yearned for a partner in that way. More just because, I don't know, it was like I'm a romantic in some respects, but it was more just like I don't know, just wanting that type of relationship and like somebody in my life like that. And if I were to lose that, that would definitely be hard and like an adjustment period. But it never stemmed from like a loneliness angle. It was more just like I want this relationship, but I'm not necessarily like lonely because I'm not kind of thing.
That's exactly you described how I've felt in the past, like in high school, where I was like, it's a concept that I've heard of and I want it, but I didn't feel lonely without it. But now that I've had relationships and now that I'm not in one, I do feel lonely. I mean, also it's very fresh, my relationship, so like that's probably a part of it as well. But I feel like now loneliness is connected to that missing component, that missing person. Like, for example, Malcolm, like you've been in a relationship before and you've gone through a breakup before. How did it feel being alone before you were ever in a relationship versus after? Do you relate to what I'm saying, or do you feel like it's felt the same on both sides?
I kind of relate to what you're saying. I guess before I was in a serious kind of thing. Like, obviously, like Matty said, I've always had like that like feeling of wanting to be in a relationship, but it was never like, I wasn't dying for it. I didn't need it. Like, I was preoccupied with other things in my life. And then after really getting to know somebody and being in that relationship and building that connection, I just realized how important it is to me and how I'd want that again, and how, it's important. And it's hard to go without that feeling after you've had it.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like, I mean, now the topic is kind of like going more into, I guess, relationships and stuff, but to me, it's interesting because it's almost like you get hooked onto it or something. Like once you've been through like a serious long-term relationship and then you're out, like oftentimes you find that people, once they start it, they like are like serial daters type thing. Like they like keep going into different relationships. And I went through the same exact thing personally. Like after my first long-term relationship, I immediately went into a different one, and I didn't feel like it was because I was like wanting to like replace it quick type thing. But at the same time, like, because it's such a positive, wonderful feeling to be in love with somebody and to like spend, all these months with them and years with them and whatever, you kind of like, you feel like something is empty inside, and because you know how it's felt before, it feels even more intense than when it was like before and you had a small desire for it type thing. But yeah, I don't know. Patrick, go ahead if you want to like talk about loneliness in general, because I've kind of taken us towards more relationship stuff. But like, what's your? Oh, you want me to ask you a question?
I was gonna say you guys veered into relationships, and I don't really have any. Yeah, ask me a question.
Like, how do you feel? Like, what's your relationship with loneliness, and do you feel lonely these days? And when you do, like, how do you go about, getting out of that mindset, or
These days, I would say I don't really feel lonely, just because I feel like every day I have stuff that I should be doing and I could be doing, and I don't have a chance to like evaluate sort of my position with in relation to that.
And it doesn't even have to connect to relationships. I guess it could just be like, feeling alone sometimes.
Feeling alone sometimes, yeah. So that's my answer for have I been feeling lonely recently? So no, but on relationships, I feel like I'm also sort of been thinking about it a lot, I guess. I don't know. I feel like we're in a transition period in our lives right now where that's sort of the next step almost.
Well, like a marriage?
Where it's like, like try to find someone and then get married kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like for you, it's a lot closer because you have 1 year and then you're going to be like, you're going to get a job as a teacher kind of thing.
Hopefully. I mean, yeah.
So once you have that income kind of thing, you're gonna like you're in it. Like that's the stage where your parents would be like, okay,
I'm settling into the rest of my life.
It's time to find your person, kind of thing. You know,
it's
kind
of scary, to be honest. Like, I've been thinking about like how at some point around this time or like soon after where we are, like desperation starts to kick in for a lot of people, and a lot of people just start getting married and engaged in these relationships out of fear that they're gonna like run out of time, and that sort of shit scares the hell out of me because I'm like, I don't want to like settle for something that I don't want truly just because I'm like trying to like, you know, tie everything up and make sure my life is set type thing.
That's what goes back to me about this idea of like being comfortable being alone, and I guess in a very specific sense with regards to like, you know, relationships, romantically speaking, where it's like people definitely get that panic and that desperation, that fear, but like that never results in anything actually worthwhile or like, you know, something that's actually going to make you happy or whatever kind of thing.
Like a temporary satisfaction thing.
Yeah, like, and that's why it just like people generally, again, I need to, I think, be okay with that so that they don't do a desperate move like that and realize like maybe I'm just not gonna meet anybody and get married till I'm like 40 or whatever. But it's like, okay, well then wouldn't you rather do that and meet like
the right person
as opposed to like getting hitched when you're like 25 and then, you know, 5-10 years later getting divorced or some shit and it like being a whole mess? Like, why not wait for the better thing? But that requires a certain amount of patience and willpower to, again, like, exist as a solo entity.
Yeah, this doesn't apply to these people.
Sure.
But Malcolm, you want to tell them how many weddings you're going to next year or in the next year?
I mean, within the next like year and a half, I'm going to 3 of my friends' weddings.
How old are they?
Wow.
They're all our age.
Oh, I thought they said they were 25.
No, they're all 23.
Oh, wow. They're all 23?
They're all 23.
That's fascinating.
Goodness.
This is this is kind of like, this is like semi-connected to what you guys are saying, but like, do you guys feel like loneliness or like having that feeling of loneliness every once in a while is healthy? Like, is that needed? Because to me, I feel like when I'm in a relationship, I don't feel lonely at all. And I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, should I feel lonely even in a relationship at times? Is it normal to feel like, even if you have a great person and you're talking all the time and you're spending all these days together, that like, even then, like, should you feel some like individual, like, I don't know, loneliness? I don't know. Like, is that normal?
Maybe, but like, I guess it would be more subdued. Because like, even if you're in like a relationship, for example, but you still feel like lonely as shit,
that's a problem for sure.
Lonely as shit. That's probably not.
I guess it also.
But is it a bad sign that you're never lonely when you're in a relationship? Is that something you should be like, maybe I should feel some sort of emptiness from time to time? That's a normal human feeling. Because to me, I feel like humans are always gonna. I feel like humans are just. It's a natural feeling to feel lonely sometimes, just like it is to be angry or happy or whatever. Like, a lot of these things are just innate. So I'm thinking like, if you're not lonely, for example, does that mean that you're artificially filling stuff and it's not like genuine? Like, it's not positive, good interactions. It's just kind of like, hey, let me just obsessively sit with this person or talk to this person or whatever, just to like fill that gap type thing. Whereas like not having that, but still being with somebody is more of like a healthy dynamic in your own personal life to be like, oh, I should be able to feel lonely type thing.
Your original question was what again? It was, is it normal to feel, what was it again?
Is it healthy to have some sort of loneliness even if you're in a relationship?
Yeah, I think it depends on how you view loneliness. I guess you could view loneliness through different lenses, but consider anxiety, for example.
Okay.
Some people say, or you can even consider anxiety or stress. These two emotions or these two feelings point to something. Let's just stick with anxiety. It points to something that's important to you if you're starting to feel anxiety kind of thing. So maybe you could view loneliness in a similar vein where it's like my body or my mind is telling me I need something kind of thing.
But do you think we should give into that as people, or we should like embrace that feeling and be like, because for anxiety, I feel like it would be a mistake to just like be like, I'm just going to accept my anxiety and just kind of like always feel it. Maybe sometimes you have to like work on a solution for something.
Well, that is how you can address anxiety. That's how you should address anxiety, which is like if I have a paper coming up, kind of thing, and I'm feeling anxiety about it,
Work on
I can either procrastinate, which will push aside the anxiety.
Yeah.
It will only build in the future, or I can work on the assignment, which will also set aside the anxiety.
Do you think the loneliness is the same sort of situation where you should work towards eliminating it in a way? Or do you think that loneliness is unique in the sense of like you should feel it from time to time and it's not a problem necessarily?
I don't know, but the word should is kind of weird to me. It's something that will happen kind of thing. I don't know if it should happen, but it will happen. And I think the example
but for anxiety you're saying like, I mean I know you're saying with should, but like
you can let's take the two examples. Yeah. Let's take the two examples side by side.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a dichotomy, but let's just consider it as a dichotomy. You can either address the loneliness through something unhealthy, or you can address the loneliness with something healthy. Now the question is, what is healthy, what's unhealthy? That's something we can.
I was going to say that I don't think loneliness needs to be solved, but it's good to kind of embrace loneliness and make something good out of it for yourself.
Well, and that's what I'm saying about being able to like be on your own kind of thing. Because it's like it's fine to feel loneliness from time to time, but it's like the thing of, you know, do you let it ruin your fucking day, or do you just be like, all right, like I'm just gonna call someone or go see someone about it, or I'm just gonna like, you know, hang out on my own and
play like a video game or something.
Play whatever. Because I was gonna to the original point of like being lonely generally. I feel like I am, I don't know, sort of the odd man out of the four of us. And I feel like we've addressed this tangentially in the past before, where it's like I am much more the like, as I joke, antisocial one of the group of like a day to myself where I'm home alone and like I don't have to see anybody or go anywhere. Awesome. Like, and that's not to say like I don't like seeing you guys or anything like that. And there's other days where I'm like, fuck, I just want to get out of the house.
That's what you're saying, and I hate you.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like there's definitely days where
we're not that great.
Where I'm just like, where I'm just like, you know, fuck, I want to get out of the house and like, you know, go see the guys or Varsh or my family or other friends of mine, like whatever kind of thing. But I'm sure there are times every once in a while where I'm lonely, but it's a very rare thing, and I think that just stems from kind of how I am generally and naturally, whereas like you guys to varying degrees are more on the other end of the spectrum of like you are more social and you like to just be around friends and families or partners or whatever. And it's like, you know, put it this way, you guys are the ones who I will get calls from you from time to time being like, just checking in. I don't really have much to say. I'm just like calling to see what's up, or I'm on my drive home or whatever. Yeah. Whereas like, I can't even think of a time I've ever called any one of you guys that there wasn't like a
reason for
reason or like a point or like I wanted to ask you something or like whatever. Like I've never just like called you guys and just been like, yeah, I'm just like at home, like what's up or whatever.
I've never taken that lack of calls. I've never taken that fact as like a insult or as like, oh, Matty doesn't want to talk to us. It's just like you naturally just don't feel like, hey, I just want to like chat.
Yes, that's the thing where it's like, and that's what goes to the not being lonely very often thing for me before I was in a relationship, and even now where it's like, I guess there's a part of me that knows in any given moment if I was lonely, I know I could fix that at any moment by like calling one of you guys or calling other friends of mine or calling Varsh or like talking to my parents. So I guess there's a part of me that like.
How do you think she's gonna feel about the fact that you listed her last?
That's crazy. That's true.
He said with calling one of you guys, calling someone I know,
my family, someone I know, family. Then
literally, maybe I can literally anybody I know.
No, no, I didn't mean it like
no,
that.
I'm just fucking around.
Don't do this to me. No, but like, so that's the thing where I know at any given moment I can call people in my life or see them physically. So I think that might be part of it too. But then, yeah, there definitely is a part of it that stems from me being like very okay and very comfortable with being alone and on my own and like, you know, craving that in some respects sometimes.
It's good that you've prepared yourself now.
I want to wrap up this discussion by asking everyone one question, which is like, when you're feeling lonely, and you can kind of say when you're feeling lonely or sad, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to embrace it. I'm just going to like sit in the emotion. What do you like to do? Like, what do you do? Because for me, I'll just like lay in bed. Like I'll make my bed. I'll kind of make everything clean, and I'll like lay in my bed, and I'll just like listen to like sad songs. Like I'll do that every once in a while. Like I've been listening a lot to Cigarettes After Sex because I love that band. But I'll just be like sitting there listening to the songs, and like it's nice. It's like I feel like lonely in that moment, but then there's also like a beauty or a piece to it where I'm like, yeah, it's not too bad. You know,
it's not far off from what I thought he was going to say. I thought he was just going to say like, yeah, I make my bed and I just sit in it and cry.
You know what's weird? I find that I don't cry by myself like most of the time. Like most of the time when I cry, it's because I'm pouring something out to somebody or to you guys or to my mom or to my dad or to my partner if I have a partner. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's weird. I feel like when I'm by myself, I reflect so much, but I just as soon as I see someone recognizing that something's wrong, then like it comes out type thing. But yeah, so anyway,
before I answer, the smell of bacon is killing me.
I was gonna say, is it me or does it suddenly smell really good in here?
Someone's making bacon
Kevin's
downstairs.
Cooking. Oh my god,
so
it's
good.
delicious.
It smells so good for the
let's wrap this up so we can eat, huh?
He better be making something for us too. Right?
I doubt it.
But yeah, real quick, when I get lonely in my room and I don't talk to anybody, I usually just like I put on a record and just like do some chores. So I like clean up my room or
that's nice.
play some Overwatch or something.
What happens
like
when you get lonely at the mall?
At the mall?
Yeah.
That's a weird question.
Like going to the mall by myself?
What happens when you get lonely outside the house?
Usually call someone.
Okay.
Yeah. No one picks up. Just put in some music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then forget that no one picked up.
In terms of handling it, like I said, because a lot of the times when I'm alone, it's not a loneliness feeling. It's more just like, I'm content.
But when you do feel lonely,
in those times, I think I'm sure it is something that I do fill it with like, I'm just going to listen to music or like, play a game or watch something or like, work on something and just kind of like, I don't know, distract myself or take my mind off of it. One thing I was going to toss out, because you mentioned earlier the whole like screen thing and whatever, whether it's like a game, a movie, or a phone thing. I think reading is a big thing that helps. And what I would maybe suggest to the world, if people do feel lonely, is like reading, because reading is a very isolated experience. It's not really something you share with other people. So
unless you're in a book club.
Sure.
Ignore me.
No, but I'm saying even in the moment of just actually sitting down and reading it, like you're not going to read, the four of us aren't going to read a book together at the same time. We'll watch a movie together, play a game. But it's like we're not all going to sit there and like, either read aloud or just like, is everybody done? Now we can flip the page.
I think the closest thing we would ever get to that is like all being on a conference call or in the PlayStation party and just like doing our own thing.
Sure. Yeah. And so to me, it's like reading's a good thing, because even for me, and I just like reading, all my comics and shit generally, but like there are definitely times where I have been watching a bunch of podcasts or shit, or I have been playing games for a while or whatever, and it is like I need to like change it up or like, put the screens down for a little bit. And then it is nice to have reading as this thing, whether you're doing it for entertainment or if I read an encyclopedia for all I care. Like if you wanted to like just learn shit, like I think reading is a good
nerd
avenue. Wow.
I guess the last thing I'll say here is like, I feel like sometimes when I am lonely or sad, I will like jump to like watching a YouTube video or watching a show or playing a video game or whatever. But I also think there's something to be said about doing nothing when you're feeling lonely and like allowing yourself to feel that way. Because sometimes when I'm lonely, I'll just jump to like replacing it with something. And I think that there is something valuable to just like letting yourself sit in it, feel it for a bit, and just kind of like think. I think that I've been trying to do this a lot more recently, and I have been doing it at night. But like, remember when we were talking about being bored or something? I think we were talking about that at some point, and like the idea of like feeling bored and what you do when you're bored and that sort of thing. And I feel like just sitting there with your own thoughts sometimes is like super valuable, because if you never do that, then I feel like something's missing. Like you don't reflect, you don't end up thinking about your life, you don't end up thinking about how to improve yourself. You don't think about yourself, and you don't think about the world around you. You just kind of like fill in whatever space you have with like a podcast or a game or a show or whatever, and you're engaged and happy with those things, but you're not actually doing like thinking of your own. Like when do you ever think on your own? Like to me, it's like those moments of just feeling lonely or sad or something is an opportunity to just think, I think. So, but yeah, I don't know. I guess that's my topic on loneliness.
Cool.
So the word of my topic has already been mentioned, actually, earlier. In
Epstein's Island?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say island.
Vice.
No one said Vice.
Mark said Vice.
Not what?
Mark straight up said Vice. Straight up said Vice. I would
Vice?
like to.
For what would he have said Vice?
I think
to?
I
When
was
we were
guilty
talking about
pleasures?
Stephen Hawking, and then I said, you know,
Oh.
he had some guilty pleasures, and then Mark said a vice, you know.
Run it back.
I think I did.
Run it back.
But he has some bad vices. vices.
Gentlemen, I'd like to talk to you about vices. Now, in the past, I believe I had the topic, shut up, watch, about drugs. And I'm sure this will include that talk. In fact, I know it will because I plan on bringing it up. But I wanted to talk to you guys about vices and what kind of vices you have, what kind of vices you're into.
What does Vice mean?
You know, these different things like drinking, gambling,
Bad habits,
drugs,
basically.
like these kind of like, you know, for some people, for some of you at this
Muffins.
table, porn. Like it's kind of these things that like, you
What an
know,
accusation.
or like I don't know, like hookers and shit. Like I don't know. It's just
Wow.
like again, you guys, not me, you guys. But it's just these like different things in your life that are kind of like, you know, these.
What's going on here? What's the sniffles? Both of your what is going on?
No, I'm good.
God.
My nose is stuffed.
Okay.
But so this is all stemmed from a week ago. I was out with some friends of Patrick and I from work, and we were at a bar, and the Leafs were playing. And they mentioned to me, because there was also a Raptors game on, they were like looking at their phones and they were looking at their sports betting. And they were like, Matt, do you do any sports gambling? I said, no, I'm intrigued by the idea, but I've never committed.
You shouldn't.
Well, they talked me into downloading a sports betting app and starting. So that was a week ago. I went in.
What's DraftKings?
The Score.
Oh, okay.
I went in with $10. I bet on the Leafs to win against Winnipeg for
mistake.
$10. They did.
Okay.
I went in with $10. A week later, my account on the app is currently up to $70.
Wow.
So I'm
okay.
currently
okay.
in the I'm doing positive. I could have been doing even better. The quick little story is that the way it worked with that app was like you had to do one bet, and then they gave you like $10 bets for free that you could make, but you have to use them within a week. Like I have 3 left that I got to use before Saturday or whatever. So I put the other 2 on like a couple other hockey games.
Bless
Bless your
you.
face. The really annoying one was I bet on Columbus to beat Vancouver. I was like playing games that night and I had my computer, like my laptop up just with the scores going. Columbus was beating Vancouver 4-1 going into the third period. Vancouver tied it. They went to overtime, which I then watched like live on TV, and Vancouver fucking won. So that was like $30 I got fucked out of. But again, these were the $10 bets. That isn't my money. Like it's the ones they gave me. So I was kind of just playing with house money. But the other bet I made, and even my dad said, he's like, I don't know about this one, was the Anaheim Ducks were playing. I forget who the fuck they were playing. Doesn't matter. But it didn't seem like Anaheim was going to win. I think when I made the bet, the game was already like in the middle of the first period and it was like 1-1 or whatever. So I bet on Anaheim because they were like
Big underdogs?
big underdog, and the payout was like $50. Sure as shit, Anaheim fucking pulled through for your boy. So that was like the biggest one I had so far with the $50.
Remember during the World Cup when we bet on Costa Rica to
my
beat
God.
Spain?
And then they
Because they were
did.
like,
That was the one game that was so bad out
Dude,
of the
they're-
entire World Cup. And
Dude-
Costa Rica almost beat Germany, and they almost beat
Yeah.
Japan too.
they were
I think they did beat Japan actually. Sorry.
yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
okay. They were like plus 1,400 or something. So like they were like, we pooled together like maybe $50 or $70 or whatever we did, and we would have won like over $1,000. But like we just lost the money.
And now it's become the thing where like I've got the itch a little where
Dude,
it's like,
it's so
okay, like, I'll
satisfying.
make some bets on, and because even I said to my dad, because I had told my dad, I was like, oh yeah, like my buddies talked me into doing this sports betting thing, and he's like, oh god. And my dad always makes the joke of like, he's always says, he's like, you know, I'm gonna retire and become a degenerate gambler and lose the house in like a week. But when I was telling him about it, he was like, oh yeah, you know, blah blah blah. And then I told him the next morning, I was like, yeah, I bet on Columbus and they fucked me in the ass. Detroit also fucked me in the ass in the NFL when they were beating
Stop using that expression.
when they were beating the 49ers like 3 touchdowns halfway through that game the other day, and then they just let San Francisco, stupid Detroit. But I told him that the Anaheim one had paid off and like that one, but I was telling him that like I watched the overtime with Vancouver and Columbus, And my dad's like, wasn't like, you lost, but he's like, but wasn't it like electrifying when you were watching? I was like, oh my God, I was on the edge of my seat for two teams I could not care less about. And my dad's like, that's it. He's like, that's the bug. He's like, that's the high. Dude, you know what's that feeling of like everything's riding on it.
You know what's so dangerous about it is like, okay, there's UFC Toronto that happened like recently. And the male UFC fighters went 0-7. Every single male Canadian UFC fighter lost 0-7. The girls did 2-0. They won both their fights, both girls. But beforehand, I was like, there was this up and coming prospect named Mike Malott, and Mike is like incredible. He was undefeated going into his fight, and he was a huge favorite, and nobody was expecting him to lose. And he was dominating the whole fight, and then he gets like TKO'd in the last like 10 seconds of the fight. He gets finished, and I was like so seriously gonna bet like a lot of money on him before the fight. And for whatever reason, I just didn't do it, and he like lost in the last 10 seconds. If I had bet like $500 or $100 or whatever, I was like, because I was so sure he was gonna win, and he was destroying him the whole fight. If I had bet that money and lost, like I would have lost my shit. So to me, it's like, part of me is like, oh, I want to do gambling more, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna recover if I like put something heavy on there.
Well, the way I plan on using it once I run out of these like $10 things they've given me is because my cousin Jack, him and my uncle, actually they do a lot of kind of like betting stuff, but the way they do it is smart. Well, like, and because they're also big sports family, they'll bet on anything and everything: NBA, NFL, NHL, fucking golf, whatever. But the way they do it is smart, where it's like every bet they make is like $2, maybe like $5.
Yeah, but then you're not winning very much.
So then you're not winning much, but it makes it just more fun, like watching the sports and doing it, and then it also puts you in a situation of like, if you lose
you're not gonna
the $2, who gives a fuck? And if you win enough over time, like slowly but surely, it kind of adds up of like, if you were making like $2 bets a night for like a week straight, and you had a good week where a bunch of them hit, like by the end of the week, you might be up $30-$40, which isn't a lot, but
dude, you know what we need to do for UFC 298? We need to do a parlay. We need to do a parlay because,
oh my God,
dude,
don't include me in this.
I hate parlays though. That's the only
I know.
thing. When I was talking to Pablo and Tony about it, and they were saying, Tony had said something where he was like, "I've got some like crazy parlay where like if I win, it's like $300 or whatever."
Dude,
but the problem with parlays, and I'm pretty sure my dad said this in front of you guys before too. Where like, but I know he's always said it to me, where he's like, serious gamblers always say that like a parlay is a sucker's bet, because it's like, I just don't like the idea of like you having to get like 3 or 4 things right. Yes, it's a higher payout, but like
the probability is
way lower. Whereas like to me, betting on a NHL game or an NFL game of like, who do I think is gonna win? It's like, all right, the Leafs. And then like, because that first Leaf bet I made was like $10 of my own money, and I won 20. So like I basically doubled.
And this is what I'm going to say is basically, I mean, only for Malcolm or anyone who watches UFC, but basically Ilya Taporia is an underdog, right, for that card. And so is Henry Cejudo facing Merab. He's an underdog. And so is there's one more fighter on there that's an underdog. I think, Jeff Neal against Ian Gary is an underdog. So my coworker was like, I'm going to bet on Jeff Neal, Ilya Taporia, and Cejudo. And if he wins, if he puts $100, he gets like over $1,000. So it's like a really valuable. But like Matty was saying, it's like for all those things to happen, each of those things has a probability, and then you like just increases and increases. The probability is just so unbelievably low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna share my experience with the game, my one experience with gambling. But I will say I'm not really into the sports betting because I've watched one too many upsets. Yeah. Like whether it's the Leafs.
Liverpool, Barcelona, remember that?
Well,
was it Liverpool?
I was going to bring that one up next, but first, like the Leafs, a couple of years ago, and they had the Habs, and they were up like, what? Were they up like 3-0 in the series, and then they lost the next 4 games? So whether it's that, or soccer, that was a crazy game, Barcelona versus Liverpool.
Were they like down, when they down 1-0, they got 4, and then they won 4-1, and then on aggregate they won or something?
I think you're talking about
talking about Barca PSG.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Liverpool
Liverpool versus Barcelona.
When Origi scored.
When Origi scored, they were down on aggregate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they won on aggregate, but they won like 4-0 that game.
They won 4-0 that game, and they were down 3-0 on aggregate. It was either they won 5-4, like final aggregate score, or they won 4-3. But yeah, they just pulled it off.
They needed like 4 goals or 5 goals, and they got
and they got it. Yeah, and they got all those goals.
And it was a clean sheet or something.
I can't even remember, but I do remember the upset. So yeah, I've watched one too many of those games to be like, I'm good. But with regards to cards, the cruise I just went on, there was a casino, and for the first time I went and and played cards. I played poker. And my very first hand, I told you guys already, but my very first hand was a 4 of a kind, 4 8s. And I won a lot of money. But when you're at certain casinos, I don't know. I've only been to this one.
They won't let you cash out right away?
No, I've only been to this one on the boat. So I don't know if it's the same with other casinos. There's like side bets that you do at the table. And so for the very first round, I didn't put a side bet. But if I did, it was going to be like paying me 50 to 1 for whatever I put in the side bet kind of thing. So either way, I got the 4 of a kind, and it was a very electrifying experience, I will say. Especially with my parents. They were watching me play, and my mom was like on the edge of her seat the entire time, like she was fuming.
Dude, I remember that Family Guy clip where he's like, he has the glasses, the sunglasses, and you can see, and he's like, and he has like nothing, all in. And then he gets a phone call, and it's like secret boyfriend. Yeah. And he goes, "Are you here?"
It's my wife.
Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, sorry, it's my wife." And he goes, "Are you here?"
That's such a good clip. But yeah, that's something where I would consider like every once in a while going in with like a set amount of money, obviously.
We should do that. We should just all withdraw like $100 cash. Like
I'd love to
every like 6 months. We just withdraw $100 cash. We leave our credit cards and debit cards like at home or wherever, and we're spending like the weekend in Vegas or something. Or I don't know. We can go to a casino in Ontario, but like we just all go with $100. We play little bets like $5 here, $10 there, and then we just spend a few hours.
And you know, it'd be fun. Like if we all played poker. I didn't know this, and maybe you guys all already know this, but you're playing against the house. I know we were talking about. You said you knew that already. I didn't know that. I thought I was gonna go sit at the table and I was gonna play amongst everyone else. So to me, that's
if you're doing like a tournament or something like that, then you're playing against other people. But like generally, if you're just walking
I didn't know that
either.
Actually,
and that's something that comforts me a little bit.
Sure.
Where it's like
I think
if I'm playing against everyone else, then it's.
I think they do that to prevent people like arguing or getting into fights, I guess, because like if it's like the dealer's like doing his job type thing, and it's like, and I also think I know for like blackjack, for example, it's like the dealer is also playing to like see if he can get close to 21.
Yeah.
I will say, gambling wise, this has been something I've thought about. Well, first
money
of all,
wise,
because my dad has told me before, he's like, why don't you like the guys just go to like the fucking Woodbine horse
let's do it.
race thing and like bet on the horse race.
About the horses.
I don't know about the horse race.
I want to play cards, bro.
Yeah, I want to be in somewhat of control.
Well, the other thing with that I thought of is because I've talked with Varsh recently about because I never do anything for my birthday, and last year the only reason we did anything is because Varsh organized it all. But because this year's like the champagne birthday, I keep thinking about what I want to do because there is a part of me that wants to just once do something a little more like extravagant and stupid. And the thought definitely crossed my mind of like
Vegas,
going to like Niagara Falls and like going to Falls View Casino.
Vegas.
What?
That's way too crazy.
Dude, Matthew from Mississauga, he went to Vegas and he went to like Caesar's Palace and he went to all these different places and like went to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant.
I'm supposed to be going to Vegas this summer with my family, but that's like Falls View is a thing I've straight up thought about of just basically saying, because the other thing I want to do something a little more extravagant, but I also feel bad like asking people.
You should.
Because I don't want them to feel like there's any sort of pressure to come. I think it would be more a thing of like, I would just tell you guys, maybe our buddies from the Varsh, obviously, I'd just be like, listen, I'm going to Falls View for like the weekend or like do a night sleeping at like a hotel or whatever in Niagara Falls. Like, invitations open. Anybody who wants to come.
I can crash in your room?
No. Or just wants to come for the day, or like if you want to pay and spend the night, like whatever you want kind of thing.
Dude.
But like come to the casino and we'll do that and like go to like a nice dinner.
You're telling me if I
fucking drink and
Dude,
smoke
I feel like
a cigar.
You're telling me if I had one too many in me and I couldn't drive home, you wouldn't let me just crash in your hotel room?
I mean, if I absolutely had to, but my hope would be that going into it, you either had your room or were planning on not staying.
Dude, there's something so exciting about that idea of us just like going to a hotel together and like spending the weekend like gambling. To me, it's like
more so making money.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I'm like, fuck, we don't do enough stuff. Like we don't do things. Like most of the time, we do this and it's fun and we do like
play
video games and go to a restaurant every once in a while. But it's like I want to do some interesting, cool shit. Don't say say clubs. No. Like what are you gonna say?
No, I was just.
Well, like I said, just so it's out there, it is definitely something I am like considering and thinking of like maybe doing like a Friday Saturday thing at like Niagara Falls of just like driving up there on Friday.
Can we go to Barbarians soon?
Oh my god, fucking please, we'll do that.
My bank account doesn't like that idea.
I don't, dude. Honestly, It would be one of those
card.
It would be in his car. No, it'll be one of those things where it's like, if we're going to Barbarians, I'm gonna consciously be like, I'm not gonna spend money on food all. Let's just say the next 2 weeks. Like I'm not gonna.
That's literally the money right there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna eat. Not even like if I'm gonna spend like 100 and something at Barbarians, 'cause I'm not gonna get like drinks and all this shit.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna get like a main, maybe split an app, I'll spend like 100 and something.
Well, ask him. Is that reasonable?
Between 100 and 150. If I'm not gonna get.
We talked about it forever ago, but yeah, like if you were gonna get
no drinks.
If you were gonna get like a main and an app. And also, tip and everything,
keep in mind, I'm not getting
150 to 2 range is probably good.
But keep in mind, I'm not getting like a big cut of meat, which are the most expensive things. Like for me personally. Well, yeah,
if you're also getting like a smaller, like there's different sizes and shit, obviously. So if you're getting something a little
like I'm not a steak guy, for example. So I'm assuming I'd spend like 100 to 150, and that's literally like maybe like 5-6 lunches. So that's like a couple of weeks of getting lunch.
Whenever we talk Barbarians, my mind always goes to Copacabana as well.
Yeah.
And the past 2 times that I've went to Copacabana, I must admit, I've gone during the meal to go to the washroom, intense diarrhea.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's also like a lot of rich food at once and like different kinds, you're kind of mixing.
But I'm the only one that goes, I feel like, to the washroom.
Well, that's because your immune system is weak. So anyways, sports gambling. Now the second story I have the tale to weave about vices. As you know, and I believe I've mentioned on the show before, the very first time I ever indulged in the devil's lettuce on my 19th birthday did not go well, and I threw up for 2 hours afterwards. And ever since then, I've had this like
such an intense reaction to that.
Aversion, right? This like aversion to weed because I'm so like scared of that happening again. There's been like 1 or 2 other times where I like did something like just very light to the point like I didn't even feel it. I guess there's one other time which we're all familiar with, which we'll have to tell that story.
We've never told that story?
Not on air, because I think it's one we were just kind of saving.
You guys were eating candy? Remember that?
Oh, we never said it on air. No.
I think we're saving that one because I definitely have. Eventually, I'd like to, as we near 50, probably not the 50th episode, because I think I actually have a topic already lined up for that just because it lines up with dates. But whenever we hit a year, my topic was going to be like favorite moments from the show over the past year. And I feel like that's when I was going to finally weave that tale.
I feel like that's a good way for you to experience being high without the fear of throwing up. Because I feel like the throwing up thing was probably due to like the inhaling and the...
well, I also ate like half a pizza right before, which a big greasy Gino's pizza, which is probably not a good start.
You know what I want to do? I feel like at some point when I'm like... Because I know they say something about like the male brain maturing completely when you're like 25 or something. I feel like just because I'm like somewhat anxious about like, doing drugs and that sort of thing, like I feel like at some point when I hit mid 20s, late 20s, I just want to like do an edible and just like see how it goes.
So, and this is the thing. So also this was like a week or so ago too. I was hanging out with some of our friends from work and we were at Pamu's house and whatever. And we were just like sitting around playing games and playing pool. By the way, his basement.
It's so nice.
Really nice.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say about my basement?
And like we were drinking and whatever. Like I just brought my bourbon and like Pablo and I got some beers and shit, but they all had these edibles that they had gotten, and the guys have kind of like bugged me in the past, like Matt, like do something with us, blah blah blah. And because we were just at Pamu's house, and it's like I'm not going anywhere, I'm not doing anything.
You didn't drive there?
No, I got a ride just because I knew I was going to be drinking.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And so I said to Tony, I was like, you know what? Give me one of those things.
I mean, you had it before, right? I mean.
Yes, but this was like a conscious, like, let's do this kind of thing and see what happens. And it was only like a 10 milligram little lozenge. Tasted like shit. But like as the night went on and like I could feel it hitting a bit more, and like when we were playing, because at that point, by the time we started playing pool, the 4 of us, we were all some combination of like high or drunk or whatever. And I finally, it was nice for me to get over that hurdle with weed of like finally doing it and finally having a good time with it and being like, oh, okay, like I get this now. I've enjoyed this experience. It's never going to replace my other beloved vice we'll get to in a moment. And I wouldn't necessarily want to do it all the time anyways, but like it's definitely a thing where like doing it now the one time, it's like, yeah, once a month, every handful of months, if I'm at like a situation like that where it's like I'm not driving, I'm not going anywhere, we're just hanging out, why not just take one anyways? But the biggest vice has to be for me alcohol.
The devil's juice.
The devil's juice, yeah. The devil's lettuce, the devil's juice. Good Lord, do I like a good drink. was thinking about having one right now. Beer, cocktails, my whiskeys, the bourbon bottle I have. Honestly, the bourbon bottle, I'm not like an on the rocks guy with whiskeys and that kind of shit usually. I'm just like, give me a shot. But I will say, this one bourbon bottle I have right now, I did it at Pamu's house. And there was one other night recently where I just took one shot's worth, but poured it into a glass over ice and just like was sipping at it over the course like 30, 40 minutes. I was like, this shit's fantastic. So booze.
Yeah, I was not cudgeled, but as you guys know, I vehemently hate beer. And so I was at a friend's birthday party over the weekend, and we were at this restaurant that turns into a club kind of thing. But near the beginning of the night, we're mingling, and I'm talking with some of this person's friends who I haven't met before, these two guys in particular. And one of them is a German guy. And at one point, someone from...
Isn't it like Prost or something? Probst? Isn't that like cheers in German or some shit?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, no, that's fine. So someone from another group, they go, oh, what are you guys drinking? And without even consulting...
Three beers.
3 beers. 3 Heinekens. And so I was stuck with this Heineken that I like tried to keep to wait to like consume it with dinner kind of thing, so it's not as bad. But I couldn't even do it. I couldn't
even
then. And so at one point I was so happy when they were turning the restaurant into a club, the bottle just disappeared. I think a waiter came, just took the bottle, and it disappeared. I didn't have to drink it, which I was really happy about. But I did discover that night that I really like rum and coke. The person who organized the party for this friend of mine, he got bottle service, and they brought us the bottles, but they also brought us some stuff
pre-made
to like
drinks.
Sorry?
Like some pre-made drinks?
Some stuff to make yourself.
Some
stuff
ingredients?
Some ingredients. Yeah, like orange juice. They brought Coke as well. It's a third thing I can't remember.
I feel like I'd like some like alcohol mixed with Coke.
It was really good. Rum and Coke. It was really good.
Michael does the like rye and Coke, where he just does some Crown Royal and like a bunch of Coke. Or
some people do something with Sprite, don't they? Like some sort of
porn stars made a Sprite.
Yeah.
Well, I like that a lot. Like a whiskey ginger. It might not be a whiskey ginger specifically, but there are definitely people who do like Jack Daniels and like
Andrew Santino's podcast.
Yeah.
Whiskey ginger.
I'm thinking of. Maybe it's like an Apple Jack or something. I don't know. There's definitely people that do like ginger ale,
an apple tea,
and like a bit of Jack Daniels or some shit as like a drink or whatever.
Ginger.
Oh my god.
Excuse me.
That was a loud, aggressive.
Wow.
Pardon me.
This floor vibrated.
See, I felt
just like last night, the couch vibrated.
I felt that in my phone.
Dude, I'm sorry. I had Taza earlier. I'm sorry about
that.
That's
okay.
But I get, to me, it's always been funny with you guys with booze, where like none of you really are drinkers, and you all hate beer, which I love, and you all can't stand like rye or whiskey or bourbons and any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, hold on now. Don't pay me in an incorrect
But what I'm saying
way.
is, I feel like
I can hang with it.
The way to go then is just to do cocktails, because you can get.
I agree.
Sure, you can get like porn stars, which are like just drinking candy, but like there's other things like that are
Sex on the Beach was pretty good.
boozy in quotes, but like
I can't remember.
You got the Sex on the Beach, don't you?
I can't remember what it tastes like though.
Is that
I've gotten it before.
I remember
it's
White
not
Freezy.
I remember.
White Freezy's really good. Yeah.
I feel like I've tried more than just. I've tried the porn star and it's really good.
There's a peach one that's really good, but I didn't get it at Ivy. It's a different restaurant I got it at.
I was gonna say too, yeah, even like that the wardrobe malfunction one I really like.
Oh, that's the one I tried.
And so it's like there are definitely, you can still have cocktails that aren't like candy like a porn star, but like that are boozy in quotes, but like there's enough in it to sort of, Moscow Mule. I like a Moscow Mule.
There's many different
like
tastes,
ginger,
right? There's many different tastes. It's not just sweet.
I like that name, Moscow Mule.
Oh, it's a good
I also I think next time I want to try rum and Coke from wherever.
Rum and Coke is good.
I feel like it would add that sweetness and that like it would cut the hardness of the alcohol, I'm assuming, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay.
It does cut the hardness of the alcohol. And then if you have just alcohol is definitely a tricky mistress, because if you get the right amount and you learn like what your right amount is, you can be just in that like right place. I don't know how to describe it.
I think they call it.
It's like a buzz.
It's a buzz.
There's something about that buzz that's just so much fun, and that's even the thing too with like. I sound like I have such a problem. I told Varsh tonight, like before I got here, Varsh was like, "What's your topic gonna be?" I'm like, "Oh, vices." And she's like, "What the hell do you mean?" I'm like, "Just like gambling, drugs, drinking, whatever." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna talk about like how I started."
Keep going.
How I started like sports betting and like how I did the edible the other day and how I love alcohol. And she's like, "You sound like you need to go to a fucking AA meeting." I'm like, "Listen, everything's fine. I just like these things. I like to indulge a little." But what's happening?
I'm next vice that we can discuss.
Oh my God, yes, please, because this was another one.
You got that from the.
So this is what something I bought on the cruise. Actually, they had I think on the third night. I don't think you'll be able to smell through the plastic.
Oh, you can smell it all right.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah.
So on the third night of the cruise, as you guys know, like cruises have a lot of like different activities. So on the third night, they had like a dedicated vendor come in.
I like the smell actually.
It's not that bad. It's not as bad as the
Smoke
dog
the stove.
dog shit one.
Well, I was gonna say, so they had a dedicated vendor come in, and a bunch of people went. They bought cigars, and we were just out like on one of the top floors of the ship, just smoking a cigar, having a good time.
And this one,
honestly, this one is way better than the garbage one.
But so this is what I'm saying.
Can you smoke it live in this room?
Just make Patrick's house thing. This is the one thing.
Open.
This is the one thing I was also going to get into. When it comes to vices, and I also feel like I've been dominating most of this, so I will pass to you guys to get into drinking and sports betting and all that stuff, drugs. But I don't like, I've never touched a cigarette, never will, because it's like just poison, and I know what I'm about to say sounds completely hypocritical.
Can I just say, I like that Matty has picked cigars over cigarettes because they just are cooler.
Also, no, there's also just straight up a cool factor of like cigars look dope.
Yeah.
But so it's like cigarettes, it's like no, and it's also like just the addicting thing and all that shit. No. Vapes, same thing.
Is there no nicotine in that? Is there,
I genuinely don't know what they're made of.
So are generally cigars like non-addictive?
I'm sure they are to a point.
I mean, everything's addictive, but I'm saying like they don't have like nicotine in it or whatever.
That I don't know for sure, but to me, it's part of it is like I don't like smoking things because even with weed now, it's like very clearly edibles are the way to go. Taking a fucking lozenge and then just like slowly over time, it's sort of kicking in way better. Whereas like smoking shit, the one time for my 19th where my buddies did get a joint, whatever, and we were using, it's like I just don't like inhaling all the smoke and all the coughing and all that shit. It fucking burns. It fills your mouth. It tastes like shit. Whatever. But with cigars, I like the idea that you aren't inhaling the smoke so that it's like, sure, you taste it and whatever, but you're not like, there's none of that burning and like the coughing fit and any of that shit after because it's just like inhale it, blow it out kind of thing. And I just find that, I don't know, process smoother and better than... Not that I've ever had a cigarette, but like what I imagine it would be, or the one time I had a joint, or the one fucking time I tried a friend's vape, where it's like none of this shit I like. Whereas the cigar, every once in a while, is a vice to me that it's like once or twice a year. It's very rare, but it is like something I do every so often think about and look forward to. I have been thinking and looking forward to doing a cigar for a while, especially because I still have that one in that metal tube you gave me. I haven't even touched that yet, and now I'm at the point where I'm like,
I want to try that with you.
Well, but I'm at the point now where I'm like, well, if my birthday's like a month away, I'm just going to wait till my 24th. And then if I'm already going to be like, you know, drinking and getting shit-faced and drunk anyways, like I'll just sit and drink, eat at a nice restaurant or whatever, and then like have a cigar after kind of thing.
Surely there are restaurants that exist that allow you to smoke in the restaurant.
Dude, you gotta wear like a suit. And you gotta be like, you know, sipping on your little...
This is the other thing. If we do something like Fallsview or something like that, that is also an occasion where I have also had a similar thought.
Fallsview like, for your birthday?
Like, you know,
he was just talking about it, right? We've been talking about it for a while now.
For his birthday, though?
He mentioned it like
doing
not long ago.
Like
I didn't know you mentioned it for your birthday. I thought you were just mentioning it to mention.
You guys want to do that?
I'm definitely thinking about it. I won't lie. But like, so that's the thing where I also have that thought of like, well, I say that I should get dressed up for it, but knowing
I say that I should,
but knowing me, I'll still just go in like a fucking t-shirt and jeans or whatever.
All of a sudden, he was like from Kazakhstan.
Would you try shisha?
I've heard that's like smoking 100 cigarettes at the same time.
Maybe
like health
wise, but that's another thing where I'm just like smoking things.
You get like watermelon.
Sure, but smoking things is a vice that does not interest me at all, except for like the once or twice a year cigar. That's the only time.
What about the once or twice a year shisha?
No.
You never tried it.
But I'm not like interested.
He doesn't want 200 cigarettes.
You know what I want to do? I don't really. I mean, I'm gonna take the reins of the conversation here just for one moment. I feel like I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to vices. I feel like there are some things that I want to try that I've never tried. So I want to try some different alcoholic drinks, like a rum and coke or something. Or I also want to try the idea of like, I love brownies, maybe like some like weed brownies or whatever, or pot brownies, I guess as they're called. But also, what were you guys just saying a moment ago?
We were talking about shisha.
Oh yeah, I want to go to a shisha lounge.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
just hang out.
I feel like that environment is something that I'd like.
Shisha lounges are. I like that environment.
Yeah, because I feel like there are so many. There are so many situations where I want to just like hang out and we should go out and do something, but we're like, where should we go? What should we do? It's like either gonna be let's sit at someone's house and play a game, or let's watch a movie, or let's go to eat at a restaurant. But there's no like, let's just go out and chill and like hang out and chat. It's like there's no place to do that really other than someone's home. So I like that idea, and yeah.
And there's also the option to play games too, though.
Sure.
There's cards. There's
you go.
taula. We can teach them.
Oh, like in the lounge?
In the lounge, yeah.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, we can wrap this up because we've been going a little bit here. But just quickly, like, I don't know, what are some of your experiences with vices?
I think we've
the
all
three of
been-
you? I mean, we've kind of been going through it.
Yeah.
But
I
like,
mean,
is
dude-
there anything we want to shout out? Is there anything you like? Is there anything you
I like
don't?
gambling.
Does fast food count? Or are we talking more like non?
I think we're talking more.
Maybe
taboo.
like literally it counts, but
Mm.
I'm thinking more the like drugs, gambling, drinking, hookers, and all that stuff.
Do you have anything to? I feel like we've all been bouncing off of you. So
I guess the only other thing I will toss out there, and maybe we mentioned this forever ago in the drugs topic or something else, but like, are there any like heavier things that you desire for,
I want to try at some point.
or like a mushrooms?
I was gonna say I want to try
that's
like
probably the only thing.
I'd want to try microdosing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna bring something up.
I feel like
Don't want anymore.
I feel like doing mushrooms or something and like listening to Pink Floyd.
Wow.
That's the shit. Yeah, I don't know. That's one thing where like I don't really have a desire to do.
Whenever someone talks about like mushrooms or like something like that and having like a trip partner and their trip partner's going crazy, dude, the cops are here.
I love that video I see on Instagram every once in a while where it's like somebody like it's some guy doing a video to like purposely like. The whole joke of the video is he's trying to fuck with people who are like schizophrenic or like tripping on drugs or whatever, where he's just like, the bugs are in your skin. They're underneath your skin. They're laying eggs in your skin.
Oh, God.
It's just supposed to like, some person who's like tripping balls sees that and starts like freaking out or whatever. But
He's losing it looking at this TikTok.
yeah, I have no desire to do any like harder shit like that. The only thing I could maybe be convinced
This is heroin.
Just LSD.
some fucking black tar heroin
Yeah,
Sweet
page-
Mexican black tar.
Page out of Freud's book. Okay.
is maybe mushrooms at some point, but like I don't know. That's one thing where I hear people talk about it.
Come on.
I hear people talk about it
Gonna
when
powder
they're
your
like,
nose.
you know, oh, like it like gives you this like new perspective on life or
Yes,
like all
I've
this
heard
crazy
that.
shit. But I don't know. There's something about it where it's like I'm in my head enough normally that I feel like there's a part of me that's like I don't know if I really need to go in there like and see God or something. I think I'm okay.
I think that's my mindset for most of these vices is like I feel like I want to be super like I feel like there's always something going on in life where I feel like I'm not totally in control of my life. There's like, you know, small little things, or I feel like I want to be in a place where I'm like super stable, super controlled everything, and like I'm in a very safe space, and I like there's no like what ifs type thing. And then when I'm in that environment where I feel comfortable, then I do something like that because I know that I won't freak out type thing.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't
I just don't want to start like scratching my own skin off
Sure.
or trying to eat another person or whatever the fuck happens on hard drugs.
What kind
Anyways,
of person would you eat?
like what do you mean by what kind of person?
You can go sex, ethnicity, whatever you'd like.
And cut.
And there you have it. Another episode of Wildly Adequate. You're only getting 3 topics again because it's very late. And to do Malcolm's topic is going to require some setup. And we just don't feel like doing that right now. But next week, you'll get to see what it is. There's a little tease for you. I hope you're going to edge to this tease.
Oh my goodness.
Please like, share, subscribe. If you like edging, so do we. Like, share, subscribe.
Is it goated?
Subscribe. Check out the socials. Patrick's doing the Lord's work over there. Check out, the YouTube channel, obviously. I complained a couple episodes ago that we were at a static 53 subscribers. We've since gone up to 56. So
They're listening.
Let's go.
keep pumping up those numbers. We're on the road to 100. And if you don't, I will eject you and your loved ones into the sun.
Nice.
Leave some comments as well.
Leave some comments.
Maybe
Please.
maybe some hate from insert country.
Before we go,
Australia.
gentlemen, is there anything else we want to just get off our chests as we wrap up the show?
I'm gonna have second dinner
Second
after
dinner.
this.
What do you mean? He's gonna go edge.
Second. I'm gonna eat. Okay, I don't know what's happening right now, but let's.
I'm looking forward to going home and laying in my bed and maybe watching my MMA podcast.
Oh, I can't wait to finish Beef. I'm finishing Beef.
Finish Beef, and then we got to talk about it at some point because there's a lot of shit I want to talk about.
Making chalk.
I gotta have to stop. You could just chocolate milk. He's gonna make chocolate milk.
I gotta go home and watch that State of Play that I missed today because
it was short. It was like 40 minutes or something.
Okay, good. I'm interested to see how that.
There's a couple of things I think you did. There's a couple of things that I wasn't really crazy for, but I know you'd go crazy for.
Well, I did see one rumor about the show that I'll figure out once I go home, but that Judas was gonna be in it, the Ken Levine Bioshock guy game.
Yeah.
And when I saw that rumor the other day, or like some leak that like, oh, Judas is gonna be there. Like, fuck, if they show more of that game, I'll be wet. That's argue. Oh, and they also I did see that they just announced another State of Play
in February
for next week about Final Fantasy VII too, which is like
just about that.
I feel like I'm in a press conference. Okay, here we go.
Zoom in. Punch in, Matt. Future Matt, punch in.
My fellow Americans, I did not. What did Bill Clinton say? I did not have sexual relations with that girl, Ms. Lewinsky. I think he said that. Matt, put the clip of Bill Clinton saying he didn't have sexual relations with Ms. Lewinsky in.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Ms. Lewinsky.
And then also, now that we cut back from that clip, you did it, Bill. I mean, come on.
What do you think about those allegations of Epstein's Island?
Whose allegations?
Against him or generally?
Mr. Clinton.
Oh, Mr. Clinton. Yeah, he was definitely on the island. That's
Does he smile when someone asks him that? He just looked up.
Yeah, that clip where somebody asked him. There's a great clip. I think it was on Jimmy Kimmel or something where he showed some clip and it's literally just Donald Trump and Epstein standing beside each other in like, the 90s or 80s or something. And the two of them are like chumming it up and they're like staring at something while they're chumming it up. And then the camera turns and it's just like this group of women like at like some dance hall, like just all dancing, whatever. And they don't look like kids. So it's not necessarily like that, but they definitely look like
they're lurking.
They're like, maybe like 18,
Around
19.
there.
Like they're these younger girls. And it's just fucking Trump and like Epstein just standing there like chumming it up and just stare. But it's so funny because you can't see what they're looking at first. And the camera just pans. And it's just all these like fucking girls dancing or whatever. And then it just pans back them and they're just like sitting there like fucking chumming it up and whatever. And it's like, man, that's
the next president of the United States.
that's something. Anyways, Jesus, this was a weird outro.
See ya.
That's
Bye.
it. Goodbye.